It's official, Volkswagen is reviving the International Scout as a fully electric brand set to rival Rivian, and in this video I'm going to go over all of the information we have so far. I'll take a look at the models the new Scout brand will offer and their potential design and specs. Then I'll discuss pricing and when you can expect to see new Scout models out on the road. First, here's a brief history of the Scout brand as some viewers might not be familiar. The Scout was a compact, off-road oriented model produced by International Harvester starting in 1960 that mainly competed with the Jeep Wrangler. Demand for such a vehicle wasn't so high in the general public at the time, and the Scout was discontinued by 1980. International Harvester eventually morphed into the International that we know today that focuses on commercial vehicles. And last year, with International and the Scout name now in the hands of the colossal Volkswagen conglomerate, it was announced that Volkswagen would bring the Scout nameplate back as an off-road EV brand that could take on Rivian and Jeep. Details have been slowly leaking out in the time since, and we know that the revamped Scout will start with an SUV and a pickup truck that will be fairly similar to each other, sort of like what Rivian does with the R1S and R1T. Scout has called the models RUVs, which stands for Rugged Utility Vehicle, although they will be more suitable for day-to-day driving than the original Scouts. Volkswagen formally created Scout as a subsidiary and named Scott Kyog as the CEO, with the leadership focused in the American market. Scout is a big part of Volkswagen's $7 billion investment into expanding EV sales and production in America. This sketch was released that shows the rough outline of what the SUV and truck will look like, but some artists have created renderings that can give us a better idea of what the finished product might look like. Let's take a closer look at the SUV first. This rendering from Motor Trend shows a rugged retro look up front with a more modern and sleek side profile. I like the aluminum accent pieces, and the classic Scout badge placement looks nice as well, but the windows do seem to be a little too small in proportion to the doors. This design from Motor One has a more futuristic front end with a light bar, but I think the rest of the design is what will end up being pretty close to the real thing. It's rugged and boxy, with a couple of well-defined body lines and flush door handles, which have become a requisite for EVs. The aluminum trim up top is a nice touch, with the plastic cladding along the bottom providing a more practical material for off-road use. You can expect the pickup truck to share a lot of the design cues with the SUV, and the front fascia and doors should basically be the same, and the major difference is when you get to the back and the bed area. I think the truck looks better than the SUV here, and it definitely has a rugged utilitarian feel. Both models are shown with 4 doors, but there might be a 2-door option as well, so a 2-door electric truck would really be nice to have for commercial use in urban areas. The pickup truck will also be on the smaller side, and with the crew cab setup, the bed will be about 4.5 feet long, comparable to the dimensions of the Ford Maverick. We'll just have to wait to get an idea of what the interior will look like, but overall it will be cheaper and more practical than Rivian's interior, and likely offer rubber flooring and more plastic and soft touch materials, so don't expect to find any leather or wood panels in here. The new Scout models will be built on a brand new platform developed specifically for Scout by Magna Steyr, which is the company that currently builds the G-Class for Mercedes. But Volkswagen is also investing $2 billion to build a brand new factory in Columbia, South Carolina, which is where the Scouts will actually be assembled. Scout Motors also has its corporate headquarters in Columbia and says the company can bring about 4,000 jobs to the area, with the goal of eventually producing about 250,000 units per year. The Scout platform will probably be built to handle a good amount of power, but don't expect Rivian-like numbers for these first models. I think both will have a base trim with one motor and then a dual motor all-wheel drive setup available as an option. And this is just a guess, but I would assume somewhere around 300 to 400 horsepower and 250 to 300 miles of range. Scout Motors has filed numerous trademarks, some of which sound like names for future models. The ones that stick out are Spirit, Reaper, Hauler, Travelstar XL, and Tellus, along with some agricultural themed names like Cultivator and Scythe. Some of these could also just be trim level names. For example, Travel Star was a package offered for the Scout in the late 70s. It seems like these Scout models will be cheaper than Rivians, which are really more so luxury off-roaders, more akin to Land Rovers. Scout CEO has said the models will start around $40,000 or, quote, just north of there, but I wouldn't count on that just yet since we still have some crucial time to pass where Scout will need to determine if it can hit that price target. Either way, I still see the Scout brand competing with Jeep as it once did, except this time it will be an all-electric battle as Jeep has its electric Wrangler and Recon models coming out along a similar timeline to the Scouts. We can expect to see full prototype reveals of both the pickup and SUV by the end of 2024, and production is scheduled to begin in late 2026, with the SUV coming first, followed closely by the truck. Also, with the vehicles being assembled in the US, they will be eligible for the federal EV tax credit, depending on the final price they come out at. As I said earlier, the Scouts will mainly be competing with Rivian's upcoming R2 models, as well as Jeep's upcoming electric models, and we don't really have enough information yet to set up a proper comparison. But I think Scout's major advantage lies in its Volkswagen backing, which provides a solid financial footing to keep the company up and running while the brand gets established. So there's everything we know right now about the revival of Scout Motors and its models. But with more information on the horizon, I will be making an updated video in the coming months, so make sure you're subscribed to stay up to date. On this channel, I talk about car news like this, as well as history and culture, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, as that helps me out a lot. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.